Good morning.
Hello.
We are here. Finally.
We apologize, everybody. We're a little late because we were talking about the video stuff that we recorded on Monday. So, and how much of it we want to show you today?
Right. It's something that you probably want to see from the beginning so that you can understand exactly what's going on, but this is what you guys wanted. You asked for it. And
Mhm.
Margie's house was the perfect house to do this in, and we thank her for that. And so it's, I mean, we'll just show spots. This was house was interesting because there were two portals in it, which is so unusual, but that's explained in the piece. So that's pretty much the way it is.
Nice. Yeah. It was fun. And when you told me this house was going to be tiny, I did not realize like how tiny. And my first thought when I came in was like, how would you ever get anything larger than a kitchen chair through that front door? Because that entryway is so small.
Yeah, but there was a back door. I
True.
think it's a
Well,
slider.
I saw the back door off the bedroom with the porch. I didn't see the
Yeah,
kitchen.
that's a slider, and then I think there was a door out of the
Of the
laundry room
kitchen?
too.
Okay. Okay. So I only saw like that front and that slider off the
Right,
bedroom.
right.
But even the bedroom, Lori and I, because Lori was the one helping record, I'm like, once you put a bed in here, like you can't move. I'm like, good Lord. But I'm
Let
like,
me tell
cute.
when Ted and I went to Santa Monica for the 6, 7 months that we lived there to get the show developed, Ghost Whisper, um, the room that we stayed in was 400 square feet for
Oh my
six
goodness.
months. I the kitchen had a stove, a small stove, and a little refrigerator. I think the balcony off the bedroom. Well, it was the bedroom, living room, dining room. It was everything. But
Mhm.
I think that that little balcony, at least you could walk outside and not see four walls. It's hard to live in a really small place. It really is.
I mean, as much as I love my little apartment here, and I say little, which it's not, I don't know, when you come from a 22 square foot, 2,200 square foot house to this, like it's cozy and I like it.
Right.
Um, but that little house, I was like, oh, I think I would get claustrophobic
Yeah.
in
But
there. And I'm like,
for a new family, somebody just
mhm,
married, somebody that's retiring, no steps, that's a good
yeah.
house for that. It really is.
But I mean, it was cute. It
Yeah,
was. I mean, cute. My first thought that was like, there's not enough house for my books. Like this should
right,
just cover
right.
my bookcase.
And here's another thing too. It's a very good what I have been talking about for years. You get a house that you buy to flip, and Margie is in this. She will say all the problems that they had in 2 years for this little tiny house to fix up, which is ridiculous. And
Hmm.
this is exactly why. And if she was able to get everything done and sell it, think about the people that bought the house that now have two portals in it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's hard. Flipping a house is not it's not what everybody thinks it is.
No, and I think there was even some of that comment at the end, like how she's had it for so long, and you said something like the property brothers would not be happy with her, and she's like,
Right.
everybody thinks she can flip a house in like 6 hours and move on.
Yeah, it's
Um,
crazy.
well, let's catch up with our good mornings here. So we got all of our friends. They were on time. We were the late ones coming in today, but again, because we were talking about the video. And so, what we'll end up doing today is, Deborah, we'll come back to your questions there about the spell casting. Um, we're going to show you a little. clip from the first room with the first portal that Margie gets to feel. And it's actually funnier when after she closes it and she does the, runs out of the room. And I'm like, oh, do we do it with when she's learning to feel it, or we do it like right before closing it? So good morning, everybody. And it looks like a lot of people are just, oh, that's great. So let's go back up to Lewis right here. He says, hey, ladies, I did the Law of Abundance. And last week I got an offer for one of the top fashion schools in the UK and the world. So way to
Oh
go,
my
Lewis.
gosh. That's great, Lewis. Oh,
That is
congratulations.
awesome. So everybody's giving Lewis, right-ons.
That law of abundance works, I'm telling you.
It does. And our friend City finally got her book, so I'm glad it finally arrived to you over in Hong Kong.
Thank gosh.
I know, because I'm like, good Lord, because I was going back looking at the paperwork, and it was so, yeah, it was a while.
Yeah.
The confirmation codes on that customs paper was so freaking faded. I was sitting there trying to, read it, and I was about ready. And if you hadn't had it today, I was going to go up to the post office and go up with the day that I sent it out on the credit card and be like, I need this tracking number because your paper is
faded. Yeah.
Here. So now the question Deb had about love spell says, good morning. Can I cast a spell to attract a loving, supportive partner for a family member without their permission? No, not really. And a spell to repair my broken relationship with my son. That's easier to do, but what you have to do is concentrate on yourself, your half of that relationship. It's not bad karma if you're focusing on you. What do you need to heal on that end of that relationship? What can you do to make it feel more comfortable for him to be able to come and help heal his half? Everybody forgets about free will, so everybody wants to do love spells. You can't change their free will. So it's always better to work on yourself. For that family member, it's a little easier. And even still, you probably shouldn't do it without their permission, to help them heal. Like, what is stopping them from having a loving, healthy, emotionally, mentally, relationship? What can you help them heal to where they attract the right person? So that's always more getting down to the root of the problem before you start casting spells. Is it an abandonment issue? Is it a confidence issue where they don't feel that they deserve something better than what they keep bringing in? Stuff like that. A lot of our hellos. We have Sue and Gianna, and one of the favorite names, Poodle Pants. Angela. So let's see. City says, talking about small spaces, many people here in Hong Kong live in homes as small as 70 square feet. Holy cow. They are called coffin homes. My space is so tiny too, so I can't wait to move out of the city. I could not imagine.
Oh my gosh. I 70. Yeah, that is tiny.
Yeah. And I saw another question in here, scrolling.
I think it was crazy when they had on reality TV those tiny houses that people buy and live in, and they're like the whole house is an upstairs and a downstairs, and you can pull it on your truck. It's like, oh yeah, take my house with me.
Actually, one good friends of mine, and they're also into the metaphysics, but they're out of Wisconsin, and they always go down with me to Tucson. They sold out their house and they were going to get a tiny house, and they ended up getting like an RV, and that's what they live out of now. And they just go around show to show playing with rocks and crystals, and works for them. Sometimes I'm jealous when I see like the landscape of like what they're camping out in and the sunsets and then I'm like, oh, but then you gotta
live in it.
Yeah, no. I'm going to go crawl in my comfy, non-moving bed,
right,
and enjoy stationary. Renee says, ever since my niece found a dead body in a river, the death was suspicious. She and her husband have had horrible luck. Could the death have been cursed, and could it affect them? They may have a ghost too.
Well, Renee, I wonder, did the person that was dead, were they hovering around their body, and did they come home with your niece?
I guess her niece is going to be with us on Zoom this Friday.
Oh, good, 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 good. We'll have to we'll figure it out. That's great.
Um, that would be a first time instance, I think, of all the Zooms, if that's really something going on. I don't think we ever had anybody with that type of situation show up on Zoom before.
Yes, I can think of.
Heather says, when people pass away and have a particularly painful death, like a car accident or heart attack, do their souls leave their bodies before their physical death? Do they feel the pain of the death?
It does not hurt to die. It could hurt working up to it, depending on what's wrong with you, but the actual act of dying does not hurt. So that part is okay. Yes, when people are in a coma or they're on life support but they still have brain activity, the spirit can leave the body and go flitting around, just as if any one of you wanted to astroplane. It would be the same thing. They can do that too until they are actually well or dead, one or the other.
Um, Baylor's question is, how do you know if someone who appears in your dreams who is someone who is so the question is, if you see somebody in your dreams, how do you know if they're a loved one who's passed or a creation of your subconscious?
I would go on, was it a pleasant dream or a scary dream? If it was an upsetting dream, then that's you creating the dream. If it was a nice dream, a pleasant dream, and don't go with the birds chirping and the clouds puffy. I mean, a nice dream. Then it probably is a loved one. And don't forget, people that you absolutely don't even know can come in a dream. That doesn't make them bad. It's just that you don't know them from maybe this life.
Mm, there we go. So what spirit guides and angels can kind of pop into dreams, right?
They can, yes, yes. And unless you know what your spirit guide actually looks like, and they're not going to be running around with wings and halos, uh, and you're right, one of them could be your spirit guide. Ask them. Remember, you can talk to them in a dream. Ask them, hey, who
Hmm.
are you? Do I know you? From what century? I mean, find out.
Right, right. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Nope.
So we'll do this last little question real quick before we show our little clip. Because I think Hasmina Stars is a new friend joining us today. It says, good morning. Sometimes I see glittery sparkles in the air like a mist. I've also seen them around my 3-month-old. What could that be?
If they are little circles that are glittery, then that is definitely somebody that crossed over, probably the baby's guardian angel, maybe your guardian angel, a spirit guide, a grandma, grandpa, great grandma, grandpa that have died that are around the babies. You have to remember, infants and grandchildren are the biggest draw for grandparents. They do not miss any of their life. So that's probably what you're seeing.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and play this little clip. So this is going into the first bedroom because there were 2 bedrooms in the house and each bedroom had a portal. So this is the first one that we went into. And I think this one's about 5 minutes if we play the whole thing.
Was blown open in 1976. Wow. How old is this house?
This was built in around the early 1940s.
Oh, okay then. Okay. He said somebody by the name of Messi blew it open. Okay. Messy, he is saying. I have to tell you, I have a little, he rolls his words together. He's very, Cincinnati. Okay, that's where he was born. So more of a southern little twang to him. Linda.
Linda is the gal that I bought the house from. She's actually the executor of the estate for the gentleman that owned this house.
Okay, but she was here when this was blown open.
Well, they've had the house for quite some time, but it might be a different Linda.
Could be. And he pops in and out. He was not here in the beginning, so I don't know. When we did the house that I cleared for you before, you actually felt
Yes.
the portal. There was a portal in that house.
Yes.
Okay. What I do, I can see it. It's right there on the wall. But when people that can't see,
You can't say a thing.
if you run the palm of your hand over, not against, but over an area like this, most people can feel something. They can feel wind blowing. Do you remember canister vacuum cleaners that have the tubes? If you put the tube on the palm of your hand, it would suck your hand in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Some people feel that.
Gotcha.
Some people, their stomach will do a flip. Some people will get an instant headache. Some people will just get so creeped out they leave the room.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on everybody's different. But if you were to go right in this area, right here. Now, it's been here for a while. Did you know that somebody named Sean died in this house?
No.
They never told you when you bought it.
No, it was an estate. She was living down by Dayton area, and we never met. It was we did it completely electronically through email and so forth, over the phone. So,
Okay. Go ahead and run your hand and see if you see a difference.
I feel a little draft right here.
Okay. Some people feel a temperature change. Some people,
Just ever, and I think, is it just my mind, or?
no, you're right over the spot. I'm going to
Right here,
guess,
right here.
Yep, because Clarence is here and his portal is the other one. I was curious. I wondered if he used both of them, and he doesn't. He just uses that one. I mean, you got two portals. Why can't you use either one?
Right.
Because you can't.
Okay.
Okay then.
So we learn something
You
every day.
know that. You just know that. Sean's father, John, owned this house. But he lived here too, and that's when he killed, and I believe it was suicide.
I'm gonna have to check the records.
41.
I'm gonna have to check the records.
He was 41 when he died.
And when did he die?
You don't know. He's just dead. I don't know. There's just some things you just go with the flow. Okay, what we're going to do now, we are going to go into the other bedroom and see what's going on with that portal.
Okay, very good.
Margie just said
Well,
that.
There, that was the first room, and that was my finger by the camera, guys. That wasn't a ghost.
Oh, I didn't even see
sorry.
that.
My hand was starting to, and I'm like, oh, Ken, I'm like, damn it, there's my finger.
And see, when I got quiet like that, Clarence was talking to me. And because I don't have to ask him questions, like I asked him, I was having a hard time understanding him. He rolled his words right next to each other, and I'm thinking, he's so Southern. And here I said, where are you from? And he said, Cincinnati. And Cincinnati, people that live in Cincinnati do have a little twang to their words. And so that was part of it. But I would ask him, try to ask him questions in between. And that's when I would get quiet listening to what he had to say. You have to understand people that come out of portals are usually nasty, and this man did kill two people. However, and we're still alive. He has not talked to very many people since he's been dead. Oh, I don't remember, Melissa, 2006?
11.
11. Okay, he died in 2011. So 10, 11 years ago, he died. And I got a feeling that he did not, beside other spirits, I seriously doubt if he talked to any live person beside us. And at least he was a talker. He admitted to killing people, how he killed them. Um, did you end up, I knew that you found him. Did you end up putting the picture in it too?
No, because I thought we decided that like we could give like the name and let people
Figure it out
Google if they
themselves.
wanted.
Okay.
Because he did give the hints of how the second person he killed was while he was incarcerated, and it was wrongly reported that it was over a TV show.
Yeah.
And that's what Google said when I
Oh, it
found it.
did?
Yeah, that's what it kept saying was that he, Clarence killed Alan
Oh, I
over a
remember him
dispute
saying
over a
it was
TV show.
Alan.
Mhm.
He punched him to death or beat him to death or something like that. I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't the real reason, he said.
No. He was approached by Alan for some fun time, and that was not Clarence's bag
Ideal
of tricks.
time.
Right. And that's why he went after him.
Yeah, and Margie said, yeah, he was pretty easy. Like it was just a Google, I put in his name, inmate, put to death or something 2011, and
There he was.
hmm But it seemed like because you had to get rid of the guy in my house, and he wasn't convicted of killing anybody, but he was a pretty nasty jerk out of the portal. The guy that was bouncing around in the store when that portal got blown open, he had killed his wife and kids and was pretty much a jerk. This gentleman, at least from what he seemed almost polite in a way for a portal type of ghost. Like he wasn't, at least our half that we could hear of your conversation.
Right.
As you make that, I'm like, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, he was actually pretty good. Except for his exit.
Well, you said he saluted. So was that not?
Let's call it the one finger salute.
Oh, well then never mind.
Yeah, it wasn't this. It was the
right.
other one. Yeah. Right.
Well, never mind. Clarence is a jerk.
Yeah. Right.
But so the whole video is just under 41 minutes. So we can show the whole thing next week if you guys want to see it, or we could just throw it up on YouTube and you can watch it at your leisure. But I figured if we showed it during one of our lives, if there's a lot of questions about something, then we can answer it. We can pause it and answer it if need be. Marcy's like, oh, maybe she thought the same thing I did, that he was like, bye guys, and
no. He had an attitude. Okay. But again, he didn't, I don't think he wanted to get us too angry because maybe we would stop talking to him. And remember, he went back into a portal. He would not go to the light.
Well, did he really contemplate going in? You said he was thinking about it.
Yeah, he thought about it, but there was really nobody he wanted to see. Usually I could find a grandparent, a friend, somebody. But I really think that he was really worried about retribution. I think he was afraid that this was better than hell.
Well, there was that slight funny part where either you or Margie said something about like, well, what about his mom? And he made the comment supposedly that his mom yelling at him would be worse than hell.
Yeah, that's right. So there wasn't a good relationship with his mother. So that, and who knows? I really didn't ask if the father was even in the picture. I don't know. So
Well, Lewis loves your outfit that you were wearing.
Oh, geez. Thank you, Lewis.
Right? Um, so if you guys had any questions about the video, oh, see, Gina just found him.
Really? I can't believe how easy you guys can do that.
Yeah. Um, let's see. So yeah, there's a lot of people that want to watch it. So I think we'll go ahead and do that next week because it is, like I said, just under 41 minutes.
Okay, so if we
Um,
start on time,
mhm.
we'll just get it out there, and like you say, we can stop in between if see questions popping. Well, you'll see what questions they're asking while it's playing, right?
Yeah, I'll
So
see it
you
on the
will know
side.
when it's time to stop, right?
Yeah, there are a couple people here who said that they could see in the camera like a change in the wall. I guess through the video, like a difference in
Oh,
the wall. Which me being there, I kind of had to do that whole like in the mind's eye, and where I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, good, I was right. Um, but let's see. I didn't think to ask Lori because I didn't want to talk during the recording.
right.
I think you only hear me talk towards the end when we're back in the room towards the end, and it was like a little question to ask him. But we did, guys. I know at one point during one of our lives, and I think it was one of the days that Marianne lost connection, and somebody asked what the inside of a portal looks like. And we did ask Clarence, and
We
that gets
did,
heard in this video. So that'll be
or
something to
his
look at next week.
perception of it anyway.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if it looks different for each
For
one.
everybody, yeah.
So this was interesting. And for Ted's fan base, you do get to see Ted for a little bit. Go put up seeds.
Put up seeds. Yep. And
We still
thank you,
have,
everybody that wished him a happy birthday yesterday.
yeah. I'm bad.
Oh, that's okay. We figured you were busy counting.
Um,
He's trying to stop counting. So don't.
I'm dreaming about incense and stuff right now.
Yes.
And what's even worse is in the memories that popped up online was a picture from his birthday 5 years ago, and it did not dawn
It
on.
didn't dawn on you.
I am a hot mess right now. I need an IV line of coffee is what I need. Let's see. So yeah, everybody wants to see the video next week. I'm sorry, Ted.
He said, no problem.
And one of our, I saw it and I can't find it now because there's so many comments. Somebody mentioned that their home security camera showed a portal opening on a bedroom wall, and I guess at some point closing. Are there different kind of portals where they can open and close at will without having to be forced to be closed?
See, it's interesting. I believe those portals that people catch on camera are the little folk popping in from another dimension. Those aren't the permanent portals. Those are their transportation portals.
Okay,
So I'm going to guess who's ever sent that in or sees that you may have a problem in the house with little folk.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, especially if it's closing and opening almost like on their command.
Right. Plus, I have to bring up something. Somebody that actually was on here, we went through, we definitely cleared the whole house. It's all seated, everything is clear, and she was still having trouble. Turned out that she did have the little folk in the house. So she got a bottle of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And about a couple weeks ago, she ordered 5 bottles. A bottle this size could probably take care of a 3,000 square foot house for 2 years. Okay. Goes a long way. And when she texted the store, she wanted to know if it freezes, if it still works. Which threw Ted and me because, and then we thought she has children out of state. Maybe she's mailing this to her kids and she's afraid that it's going to freeze with the cold weather now and will it still work? And because I fill them so full, I'm going to guess more than anything the bottle may break, but I don't really know. So she's relatively close, and when that happens, if somebody's relatively close, Ted will actually meet them at the post office and save them shipping. And so she showed up to get her 5 bottles, and he said, "What are you doing with them?" She says, "I poured it out and put it in a dish and put it outside, and it froze." Instructions. This doesn't go in a dish outside. The millet, the birdseed goes outside. This doesn't go in a dish outside. So please, if you're going to spend the money to get this, read the instructions so that it works for you. I read the instructions. So,
so here's Lewis to stir the pot, and it kind of goes along with what you just says. Do you ever get irritated by her friends? Like, who is your most annoying person's house you visited? Please don't say mine.
It's like this. It doesn't make me feel better or make me think you are right if I tell you something and you go, "Yeah, I know, I see it. Yeah, I know, I see it. Oh, I know, I could do that." Well, then why did you call me? So, when I come and do a house, I know what I'm seeing. Believe it or not, I don't need anybody to tell me anything extra because you really can't see them. So, but other than that, people now, the only thing that aggravates me now is that people are still angry that I'm not getting back to them fast enough. And I'm trying. I'm really trying the best I can. So,
well, there's only one you and how many people that are calling. I mean, it's just supply and demand.
Yeah, exactly. While we're here, I had talked about doing the restaurant, having a talk and everything at Melt in Lakewood. That has been canceled. That has been postponed till sometime in the spring. So that is not going to be done now. And we still have space on the Zoom on the 24th, Melissa?
Yeah, there's 4 spots left.
Okay, so that's still available. And we have 2 dates for next month, so you will be posting them. And I will be in the store on the 20th.
February, Saturday the 19th, I believe it is.
Saturday the 19th, right.
Yes, because we went with the Saturday, because you're going to do the meet and greet, which is free, and then the talk. And we figure Saturday evening is better for the talk.
Yeah, so that'll be on the 19th at the Goddess Elite. So, and you sign up for that with Melissa.
Yeah, on the website, which we just literally put all these dates. We decided on the dates right before going live. So they're not up there yet. Give me till later today to get those active. But they'll be on our website. And the cool thing about the 19th event, I should have some of my Tucson stuff back. So if you're into the new, crystals and stuff, some of that will be there and ready to go. So, because I'll be back from Tucson, I come in on the 10th. So after being there for 3 weeks, getting all the pretties. So lots of fun stuff. And Ted's got tons of happy birthdays in the chats. You'll see him.
Good.
YouTube version, all the happy birthdays. So if Ted was like, "Man, I didn't get enough happy birthdays," well, there's a ton now in chat.
He got it nice, and he's thanking everybody. Believe me.
And then Adam, here we go, says, "Yay, Ted! Maybe you could do short segments called Ted's Take, where he talks about his side of the experience." So.
I didn't think his head could go that fast.
So maybe I should start like panning over to him every now and then if we start doing more of these live.
Yeah. Okay. How fast can he get out of his recliner?
Well, honestly, though, for Monday's event, like he really wasn't at least near us anyway to hear. Now, the house being empty, I'm sure the voices carried, but it wasn't like he was in any of the rooms with us until at the end, where he was
Right.
sitting.
And for those of you who I've done your house, when Ted is with me, he does not even sit in the same room with us. He'll sit in the living room or the family room. We're either in the kitchen or the dining room. So he, you know, he's really over it. He doesn't, it's just what his crazy wife does. So,
Right. Yeah, because I think when we first started, he walked like through the kitchen, so I thought he was hanging out in the kitchen, for the whole thing. And then when we came back in between the two rooms, and he was sitting in the corner by where I first was standing, my position changed a little bit because I didn't want to necessarily get him in, knowing that
right,
he felt like being, in the attention and stuff. But there
right.
is that moment where he goes to pick up the seeds.
Yeah, and I
You see him.
think there was one showing him putting it up on the door too, wasn't there?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know.
I
I
forget
don't
how I
know.
edit it because
Yeah.
I think what I did was after he's picking them up from the table, I have it where you see him kind of walking towards Lori, who was doing that first shot, and then I have it faded to where you see him kind of walk off camera, and we finish the conversation
Oh,
with
okay. Yeah,
you and
he was
Margaret.
when he did that, he was going to the front door to put them up.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Gotcha.
I thought it was more important to focus on how Margie needed to decide if the seeds were going to stay by being behind the board, or did she want to be able to take them, and you
Right.
explaining the difference. So, yeah, it was an interesting day. Not a bad hour and a half.
No, and see, the thing is this, for as long as we were there, that's normally how long I am doing a piece for one of the TV stations. When they wanted, especially around Halloween, we always do something for Halloween. And they'll come in with the lights and the cameras and the microphones, two cameras, get you from two different angles, blah, 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 blah. And so you're filming for an hour, hour and a half, and they knock it down to 3.5 minutes. Nobody can understand. If you don't know what I'm doing, you don't know what I'm doing. I mean,
Right.
you do not know. And that's why at least this one,
You're
it's
seeing
from
everything.
beginning to the end. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And really, it was only like you and I, like I got there a little before you. Well, it's funny because I pulled up and I looked, and I'm like, okay, I am here. And I was looking at the map, and I'm like, there's a Dunkin' 3 miles away. I could go get a coffee real quick. And Margie came out. She's like, you can come in. And I'm like, damn it, she saw me. No offense, Margie. I was just like, coffee. Because it was cold that
Yeah,
morning.
it was so cold yesterday. Yeah.
But I mean, we were an hour and a half, like at most, for everything,
Right.
and if that, because I actually stayed a couple minutes later with Lori and Margie. You and Ted had already, were
Taken off.
outside. So, yeah.
And see, that's it. If you think about it, I walk in from the phone call, I knew where the portals were before I even came in the house. I could have opened my case, grabbed my little solution, gone to the rooms, closed them, and left. And that could have been in under 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't want that. Everybody wants to know who is it and why and blah, 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 and everything like it. I mean, that's why, I'm getting my coat on trying to walk out and talk at the same time, because if there's one question, then there's three others you forgot to ask.
Right.
And that's just human nature. That's the way it goes.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, this is a funny question. I've often thought this, and I don't think I've ever, again, thought to ask you while you're there. So thank you, Gina. Says Marianne, when you're at Goddess Elite, do you see earthbound spirits peeking in through the windows from outside?
I do. I absolutely do. Or if I get up to go to the washroom and I look out the big front window, can see them standing around looking at their watches by next to the cars, Like, what are they doing in there? I wonder what they're doing in there, but they can't come in.
There we go. Addie Cake says, will ghosts send abstract, indirect messages? For instance, my grandmother's birthstone was opal, and I had a strong thought of opals last night. Was that her communicating or likely just a thought?
Okay, think about it. Is this the time she died? Is this her birthday? Is it your birthday? Is it some event that she would be trying to get a message to you? Or knowing that she knows you know that opals are hers, maybe it was just she was just thinking about you. But tonight would be a really good time before you fall asleep tonight, because today's the day you thought about grandma and her opals. Think about grandma before you fall asleep tonight. Say, tonight grandma's going to come in my dream and I'm going to talk to her. Tonight grandma's going to come in my dream, I'm going to talk to her. Just fall asleep saying that. She'll come in your dream and you can talk to her.
So Julie says, hi, what does it mean when I've seen the Grim Reaper coming for me dressed in black, hat and scarf, or hat and staff? I had an illness and a fever, blacked out at the time, but dreamt of this.
Well, I don't believe that there is actually a Grim Reaper that runs around with the sickle and everything. Either you're going to die or you're not. I don't think the Grim Reaper has anything to do with it. More than likely, you have something troubling you right now that is devastating for you, and that the Grim Reaper is the very worst thing that you could imagine, because it means death. And remember, even in tarot cards, if the death card shows up, doesn't mean you're dying. It just means the death of something that's going on in your life right now. Not someone, something. So it could just be, somebody trying to get a message to you, but I would not go to the other extreme and say, now I'm dying, because I don't believe that.
In a lot of shamanic rites, and like, you have to go through a death rites and you experience death. So you're not afraid of it and you know how to help people, going through it in family. Did not see a Grim Reaper. Actually, it was almost like an astral projection and coming out and going up even farther out and away.
Right.
And you're conscious of it, the Grim Reaper the way that you described it is kind of a relatively new representation, because not even the Archangel of Death looks anything like that.
No.
So that's kind of like a widely
it's a modern thing. I mean, but people are afraid of that. People would be afraid if they saw a skeleton walk through their house, because it's not something you see all the time, ever. But so there are just things that remind you that are just bad in our minds. But everything is all so involved with your brain. You can come up with really bizarre things sometimes.
So Lewis, Marianne, I was thinking of incorporating quince seeds into one of my designs. How would you like to see quince seeds worn? I was thinking of having them stitched into the hem of a dress.
That's great, except you only need one, not quince seeds. You don't need more than one. And I don't know what would happen the first time that the garment was cleaned.
Karen says he's the seed installer. I like the idea of having them be a pendant to a corset design. That would be my preferred, like having that one a centerpiece of a.
Oh, well, yeah, but as long as it was encased in some kind of, like my charms, they're encased in metal so that they don't break. But yeah, if you did that, that would be fine. I mean, yeah.
City says, for the longest time, I thought you owned an antique shop because of the show. But you haven't owned an antique shop, right? You had a dog grooming business.
Never. And Ted has never been a paramedic, ever. Everyone thought that because Jim was a paramedic, that Ted's a paramedic. No.
Oh, Margie says, ask Ted if he did the sliding glass door too. She forgot to look.
Did you do the sliding? He did. He's
Okay.
really good at his job, Margie.
He knows what to do and get.
Yes, he does.
Melanie asks, how much do you charge to do the house? Or
It
to do
all
the house?
depends how far I have to go. I usually go by how many counties, around. And it usually starts around 300.
Mm. And Melanie asks, can you put a seat on a pet door?
I have. And yes, you can. Normally, I do not, just like I don't do old houses, the coal chutes or dryer vents or anything like that. Um, some older houses actually have milk, where people would put the milk in by the back door. There was a little compartment there. Don't do that either. Fireplaces, doors, and if you don't have city water, if you have a well, those are the three things that are normally done.
Let's see, there was just another one. I lost it, it moved. Let's see, there's a lot of talking between themselves, which is fine. Sometimes that's more fun to read in between questions of like watching the conversations go. Oh yeah, see, Renee says, when I used to help create 30 seconds TV commercials, they would spend 12 hours shooting it for 30 seconds.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's such a waste of time.
And then Julie Clusta, she said, Marianne, they need to give you your own special at Halloween.
Actually, one of the producers at Channel 3 has been trying to do that probably for 25 years. This hasn't happened yet, and I believe that gal's probably getting ready to retire here directly, which means it's probably never going to happen. So.
And Adam has a good point here. I explain this a lot in the shop to people. It says most people don't realize that ghost hunting isn't always exciting if it's real. There's a lot of time that something overly scary is not happening. People are usually good at scaring themselves more.
You are so right, Adam. You are so right. They can blow so much out of proportion.
Yeah. And like
it's interesting, these letters that I get when they are okay, let's just say in one of my books it says you may have a ghost if your closet doors are opening and closing, if stuff is disappearing, if it's ending up in weird places. So the letter that I just got says my bedroom door opens and closes by itself. The closet door opens and closes by itself. Things are disappearing. I can't find. All they're doing is saying, they're using the same sentence out of my book to saying what the problem is in their house. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, I wrote the book. I usually remember what I say.
So you remember what you wrote in there, right? Especially when you're reading it over and over again.
Right.
Here's more of a question for Lewis. Says, would a person special order Lewis's design with the seed, or would he just put it on all of his designs? Lewis, I think you already have some takers there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now for Ghost Whisperer, how many of those episodes were based on what you've actually experienced, gone through?
All but one. But it wasn't from the beginning to the end. The writers would call up, what do you know about car accidents? Or did you do anything with that? So I'd go through and give them 6 or 7 or 12 different ghosts that were from a car accident. They would combine that and make 42 minutes out of it. Same thing, I need kids. I need a boyfriend, girlfriend, divorce problem. So I would, come up with that stuff. But it was always funny because Love would usually call me up a couple of days before the new shoot would start. And it would take a week to do each Friday night. It was produced really well, and so it took a good week to get the 42 minutes. But Love would call me up and she'd say, "Wait till you see what they're making me do next week." So I always had a heads up that they were going to do something really stupid. And they normally did. So
Well, I put up your website because there's been a couple questions about how could people get a quincy to put up after smudging. But here's the thing: just because you smudge doesn't mean you want to hurry up and put that seed up, because you could be trapping them in. So, but if
which
you need
we
it,
have seen on Zoom where they've trapped them.
mm-hmm.
So what people are doing is that if they come on Zoom and they have a ghost and you're not local, I give you different options to try. If you do those and you've succeeded in clearing out your ghost, then you can, then seeds can go up, but not before then.
Mm-hmm. Jen asks, do you offer local pickup for items sold on your website? We do have local pickup, and you kind of do with Ted too, right? Like you've mentioned, he'll meet you at
Right. If you ask for it, and Ted will give you a time, well, he will be at a post office, our post office, and if you want to come in and pick it up, you are welcome to.
So I just saw Karen's comment in regards to the question about how much does it cost for you to come out and do a removal, and it says it all depends on what pain in the ass you are that the price is to remove the earthbounds.
Nah, I have to keep it more even keel than that.
um, oh, that was a good laugh, but I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then Deborah says, who do we petition to remove the curse from the Browns?
I have tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. I took it off the Indians. And when I took it off the Indians, we went to the playoffs. Now, this is the thing. I can take the curse off. I can't make them play better. Plus, it was their egos that blew that one as far as I'm concerned. But I have begged Browns people, let me come and clear. It's not the organization that has the curse on it. It's the grounds that they play on. And that field needs to be cleared.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't believe in it. They're not going to do it. They don't want to do it. Blah, 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 blah. And here's one of these things. You can't do it remotely. You need permission to remove negative energy. You just can't go around zapping things and taking off negative energy. So yeah, I mean, they're my teams. I don't charge to do that. I don't do it with a TV camera there. It is just done between you and who's ever said yes and is taking me around the field. It's just apparently the Browns organization must not think as highly of their team as the Indians thought of theirs.
I think the best way to get them to recognize, and I don't want this to sound like, protest or, but I'm like, if everybody just quit buying the merch and say, we will not support a consistently losing team, do better, then maybe they would finally do something about it. But I mean, Cleveland, we are hardcore sports fanatics, despite how bad the teams are. So we keep giving them money.
Yeah, for what? It's not working. Let's fix it.
Because it's not
I
like
mean,
you're buying better players.
I took the curse off the Boston Red Sox. They won the pennant that year. Come on.
Right.
What do you want? I mean, I even got a call from the Chicago Cubs. Can I get rid of the goat of the curse goat? The goat that is cursing the team or something? I don't know, something about a goat. And it's like, okay, but seriously, right. It's ridiculous. Why it won't? I don't know. And I'm probably going to get jumped up one side and down the other. But sometimes men and women think so differently sometimes.
Mm.
I think it's more than two different planets, believe me.
Well, there's a book about that, I believe,
Yeah.
back in the early 90s. Liz has a very interesting question, and mainly because she says, have you ever ran into any of the victims of the famous murders, like the Cleveland Torso murders? And it's funny because I just yesterday listened to a podcast about, it's called Crimes of the Century, and she covers the Cleveland Torso murders.
I don't know if they still have it or not. There used to be it was across the world. Once a year, they would call it a world fair. And the one time that it was in New York was during the Torso murders. And they actually had a bell jar about, I mean, well, a jar big enough to hold a head. And in this, you paid 27 cents or 25 cents. You got a ticket and you went through this tent and you could see this man's face in this jar. They were trying to find out if anybody knew who he was, because a lot of the people that the guy killed were indigents, homeless, prostitutes. So they really didn't know who all these people were. And when I cleared the morgue, that head was there. And the guy that killed him came up from the back and he never saw his face. But no, there were some people. I got a name a long, long time ago. Oh my gosh, probably 40 years ago. I got a name of somebody that I don't remember, I haven't read it for a long time, but there was a doctor that they were considering could be doing this. And if I remember correctly, that doctor or a protege of his had something to do with the killings.
I'm trying to, and I just listened to this yesterday, but I listened to so much true crime. But one of the main people that looked good for this was a relative of a high, like, Cleveland politician, Martin Sweeney. And and she says in the podcast, like, that family is still pretty prevalent in Cleveland, and there is
they're judges.
And she said, like, yeah, and so Sweeney is the person right now, on blah 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 seat of Cleveland currently. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting.
This is one Elliot Ness missed, because he was here during that was when he was in Cleveland, and he never found him either.
Yeah, that was kind of did you know he died in debt, Elliot Ness?
Yeah,
and his family never saw any rights for his book because he signed it away.
Right.
Yeah. The Untouchables.
Yeah, and he was untouchable.
Unfortunately, to the point where he didn't get paid.
Right.
That was shocking to me. Let's see. Somebody asked, I think maybe my friend Julie, she wants to know, if she were to plant a quince seed and grew a bush, would it have the same properties as yours?
Yes, in the fall, a quince is a quince. It's a cross between a pear and an apple. And if you go across the United States, not just here, but across the United States, especially states that took a lot of European people in when people were coming to the United States to live, the 20s, 30s, and 40s, you go in those old neighborhoods, all of those old houses in those neighborhoods all have a quince bush in their yard.
But will it repel the ghosts like yours do?
Not unless you know how to energize them, which is I do not, and that's why mine come from Italy. So it would be the same as going to the West Side Market, or in the fall, going to your local grocery store and picking up a quince, which they sell them in the fall, and taking it apart and putting those seeds up. Unfortunately, they wouldn't do anything for you.
Yeah, see, Rhonda says, I grow quinces and no, it's not the same. So yes, you can smudge, but do a zoom. Order a seed or seeds because you need one for every door out of your house.
Right. Now, the seeds are not sold separately. I don't have an unlimited supply of quince seeds,
Mhm.
but people have been buying, um, yeah, it's right here. Been buying the dream bags. There's a quince seed in each of the dream bags. So, and that is the least expensive thing to buy on the website. So
Mhm.
you buy however many seeds you need by buying however many dream bags you need. And if
Mhm.
the house is clear, you take the seed out or put the whole bag up, and there you go.
And we actually, on one of our previous videos, and I don't remember how far back that was, somebody mentioned that they had one of those like ultraviolet cameras or something, and there was a definite change in like energy where the seed was hanging above the door.
Yeah, you could see it. I know exactly where that picture is, but yeah, definitely. And it radiates gold off of it. I mean, it was really huge.
Mhm.
I was so glad they sent it to me. I'll have to put it out here with this stuff. Yeah, because I don't have it right here with me. But
And so, speaking of like how else the seeds work, like they keep away negative energy. So, Amy says, I'm a psychic medium and I have a seed on the bracelet. Another psychic at the same shop, I feel it putting negative energy against me because I'm very successful and she is not doing well there. Should I wear the seed at all times?
yes, you should, Amy, because while wearing that seed, besides stopping earthbound spirits from getting any closer than 3.5 or 4 feet, nobody can ever put negative energy on you if you have the seed on you. So, absolutely. And what it's doing, think about this. Anybody's zapping you or trying to get negative energy on you, it's hitting you and bouncing right back to them.
Mhm.
So all anybody is doing that is throwing negative energy on somebody is hurting themselves if that person has a quince on them. And that's why the bracelet is good. Um, and I'll go back to ball players. I do so many of the ball players, and let's face it, most ball players, no matter what sport it is, are so superstitious. You have no idea. And I couldn't figure out how to put a seed on them when they played ball because they don't exactly have pockets on their shorts, and their seeds in their tooth. I have dentists that will not drill a healthy tooth, but if you need a filling replaced filling or a filling put in, the seed will go in your tooth. So yeah, Amy, keep your seed on you around that woman.
Um, Rhonda says, "Is if you have your seats up over the doors, does it protect the house from negative
Yes,
energy?"
nobody can ever curse anybody if there could be no negative energy put on the house, on the property, or on anybody in the house. Now, if somebody's parked in a car and you run out to the street to get your mail and you don't have your seed on you, yeah, they can still zap you, but they can't do it while you're in the house or while you have a seed on.
There we go. And like Margie says, she's got one on her necklace that she keeps all. In the day that we were at her house, like she had an extra one in her pocket. She took out of the car, and I'm like, "Great, poor hubby out in the truck."
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have one that's on all the time. Um, and some of my colleagues who have gotten them from you wear them all the time. So, and the store, has them up. But then again, I mean, with all the healing work and everything we do, we don't want anything being able to come in and mess up, any of the healing work going
Exactly. Just
on.
keeps it a good protected place to do positive energy work. You don't want anything negative around that.
Right. Um, People are coming in because they need healing. Keep it as clean and, productive as possible. We are actually a little over 11 o'clock already. That went quick, didn't it?
It did. It absolutely did.
So what's your 5:30 video tonight about?
Just regular questions coming in. I think if we can, if you and Ted can figure out how to do it, I would like to play the house clearing on YouTube too in the next 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
just figure it out before we try to do anything else.
Yeah, I would. I'll text him on that one because I
Yeah.
could do it remotely, but I'd have to be able to sign in.
Well, the problem is I can't. It would have to be in 2 parts
Okay.
because that's no more than 20 minutes.
Okay.
I could run over it a little bit, but so it would
Okay.
have to be in
I'd have to
either
break
2
it
or
down
3
for you.
sections, right?
Okay. So I'd have to edit it first down some. But yeah, that would just be. I could upload it into your guys's YouTube, but I would have to edit it down, or yeah, we'll have to play with this. It was like, or watch it and then stop it yourself, kind of like what I did here.
Yeah. Which
But,
he could do that,
mhm,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
It
Okay.
just.
We'll work on that.
This is how we plan things, guys.
Yeah, yeah, it's not doing. I'm not helping you a little bit on this, so no input at all.
There's Marianne. Do you listen? You don't listen to any podcasts yourself, do you? No. I listen to quite a few. Crimes of the Century is one. The Murder Squad is another. And the fun thing about the Murder Squad, Paul Holes is one of the main people on there, and he's the guy who helped catch the Golden State Killer and
Okay,
actually testified and everything against him.
right.
And Billy Jensen, who's a pretty well-known investigative reporter, is the other guy on that one. So
We
crimes.
watched all the true crime on TV.
Mm-hmm.
48 Hours and Forensic Files, and Dateline has a lot of, going back and finding things. Just that the commercials make me crazy. So
There's an actual pretty good one. I'm sure everybody from Ohio is aware of the Piketown Murders, where that whole family was assassinated out. There's a good podcast on that one called the Piketown Murders. Crime Junkie is another one that I listen to. So there's quite a few. I mean, I'm sitting here like scrolling through all of the ones that I'll kind of.
Yeah. But see, you need to listen to that on your cell phone, right?
Not necessarily. You can do it on cell phone. You can do it on tablet. If you have, you could even, like mine and your podcast, which we only have the 3 episodes up because we kind of do special event type things. If you listen to podcasts on Amazon Music, you could open that up in a tab and listen to that while you're doing other things. So you can listen to it about every single way.
Okay.
There's just no video to a podcast. There's
The
also
thing that I have an Alexa.
Yeah, you could tell it like, "Hey Alexa, play the newest episode of."
Oh,
and so it's like listening to an audio
okay.
book.
All right, okay, because we listen to a lot of audiobooks. Okay, oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So you kind of think of like podcasts as like mini audiobooks. They're anywhere,
Okay.
just however long. If you're into spooky stories, the Old Gods of Appalachia is a really good anthology one if you like spooky stuff. But The Shrink Next Door is another true crime, and they actually just put on Apple TV. And Will Ferrell is actually in that one, and he did such a good job playing some non-goofy, idiotic character that I did not recognize that it was him. But this guy, Marnie, has a lot of money, comes from a Jewish family, starts seeking help for anxiety and social anxiety. And this shrink pretty much starts grooming him and ends up living in his house, getting him to pay for all the renovations, throwing huge parties, but presents as he's the owner of the house. He's the successful person. But it's all about how he manipulated and took advantage of his own clients. So yeah, I'll have to put a list out there of all the things that I listen to. Half the time my TV never gets turned on. I'm listening to something while I'm working, and then I'm like, oh crap, what did they just say? Got to go back.
And the
So,
last thing for this is, yes, you were right, Melissa. The Mercury retrograde was coming, and it is going to be here Friday. Mercury retrograde starts on the Friday, the 14th, about 6:40 in the morning, and it goes until uh, no, the 3rd of February. It's not over till about 11:13 in the evening. So just keep that in mind for the next 3 weeks. And Melissa's being
meh,
so good and not saying anything.
meh, meh.
Okay.
My social media. Well, Lori, you met her. She does a lot of my social media stuff, and there's a sound on TikTok, and I'm not going to say it out because there is some cursing, but it's like I don't give it about none of that, you know. And
There you
I'm
go.
she's like, we need to do that with you in Mercury retrograde, and I'm like, that would be hilarious, and so true. Um,
For some people, it is, yes, and other people, not so much.
yeah, no. And the theory being, I guess I've heard if you were born during a Mercury retrograde, like it doesn't really affect you the same way. And at one point, somebody ran my chart during their interview read to read for us, and she said something like, "You, I have like 7 or 9 planets retrograde," and she goes, "But all of yours are the big ones, Jupiter and all that." She goes, "That's why 9 times out of 10 people are complaining," and you're like, "Yeah, why are you complaining?"
And that's a good a reason as any. I mean, I don't have a reason why it doesn't. All I know is what it can. So,
Yeah, it messes with some people, but I also tend to think if you're looking forward to it, well, I don't know.
well, if you need
But
something to blame something on, that's always a good one. Okie dokie. I think we're done.
I think we are. So join us next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Bring friends, share the event. The more, the merrier. I like getting new, interesting questions that we've never heard before, and I think you guys like us answering those too. So, but next week we will be playing the full like 41 minutes of that video and answering questions on that one. So, and I'll get with Ted about how to get that on.
To YouTube too.
It's so big. It took a couple hours to render, and when I tried to email it to him, it kept kicking it back, even with the
Yeah.
Google Drive.
Eventually, I'm not in any hurry for it. So,
Okay.
okie doke. Everybody have a good week. And for those that are on Zoom on this Friday, I will see you then.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a good week.
Bye bye.